Hello everybody. Alright, so here's the next phase in this program. There was something that we did not address, and that is if you run the program and we click the reset immediately and select a point, it immediately set it here. Now we have it set to point 2. So reset point 1 again, reset point 1 again, that's all that's happening. You will notice that none of the other points were there. I actually just thought this might be an issue, but this apparently is not an issue because the points don't even exist. If this existed at 0, 0, which is what I thought, then when we click this point, it would show us a small red sphere here, which we don't want. But that did not happen, so it is not a problem. Perfect. Let us go to the code. I think what I should do now is set up the resetting of all the points, 1, 2, 3, or 4. And as we said, this can be easily reset by a number. So this check that I have set up here, what I'm going to do right now is go ahead and condense it. And the reason I'd like to do that now is because I'd like to copy and paste it and use it again. Now, it's definitely a good thing perhaps to do a second SubVI. And let's see if that will work. Come here, move this there, move this a little higher. There we go. Here's our decider. Move this. Sorry, I'm silent, guys. There's just nothing really to say at this point. I just need to get this organized for myself. As I've said in the past, this phase of organization is purely for the user, right? So as I've said before, this sorry, this does not make your code any better or any worse, but for me, I always find it better because I get to organize my thoughts better and I know what's going on where. I see like, okay, so this part is doing this part is doing that, and I'm not confused in any way. So there we go. So this part right here is a automatic checker. That's literally what this thing is doing right here. So what this does, what this piece right here does, is it checks if I clicked more than one thing at the same time. If I did, it won't do anything, right? It will not process any data if it thinks that's what happened. Now, what we're doing next is we are taking the input of multiple buttons. And this is going to be point. I'm just going to do pt_1. I'm going to call this pt_2. pt_3 and pt_4. Making these smaller. There we go. So now what I need to do is I need to do the exact same thing that I just did. I need to make sure that whoever is working with this does not click the same button more than once. So I'm going to take these two. There we go. I'm going to build an array out of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. First one, I'm going to get it out of this array. Second one, third one, fourth one. Now, what I'm going to need this array to do is going to be a few things, not just one. So here's what I'm going to need this to do. First, I need it to do a check, just like this one. So here's our major check system, right? And this is a How to describe this? Well, I don't know how to describe this. I'm sorry. We could probably set this to a SubVI to simplify things. For now, I'm going to keep it as is. So basically what this just told us is it gave us an entire system that is checking, remember this true or false here, right? It's checking if more than one thing is clicked. If more than one thing is clicked, I would like it to return a 0. In which case, a 0, oh, you know what? Maybe I should do it to not return a 0. Yes. No. I'm sorry guys if I'm confusing you. Here's what I'm thinking about. So what I'm thinking about is that I would like this to return 2 pieces of data. The first piece of data needs to be returned to the OK button, to this data right here. And that piece of data needs to be whether this is true or false, basically just 0 or 1. So what we do is, what we are going to do, this will return 0, which is false. So if I take a Boolean and do number to array, no, a true or false, just basically checking if it's equal to 0 there. So if this is equal to 0, right, that means, well, if it's not equal to 0, I'm going to replace this comparison if it is not equal to 0. So if this is not equal to 0, which means a button was clicked, right, that will come here as a true or false. Now if a button was clicked, this piece right here tells me which button was clicked, right? That's what this will do. And that's the data I need. And this is giving me a number from 1, 2, 3, or 4. Which is basically I will need to take this number, I'll need to subtract 1 from it. Remember, if this is 0, then if it is 0, this will be false. And if this is false, this will not process. So this case will not occur. If I'm doing everything right, by doing this, all the buttons should now work. Let's go ahead and test this theory. I'm going to run the system. I'm going to do the select point so we can, well, I'm just going to select the first one. Then I want to say, okay, select the third point. There it is. Select the second point. Okay, you guys see what just happened there. When I said select the second point, it did not delete the zeros. That is a problem. Let me stop and reset this just so we can see. So if I say set point 3 right there, there it is. It did not show up here. Why is that? Let's see why is that. So the problem is that the system is set up with, I think the problem is that the system is set up with no initial points. There's no initial points, right? This is set to 0. And I want these set to 0, 0 for the first 4 of them. And I want them to be clustered. So I need 4 of these clustered together. So what I need is a cluster, a bundle of 4, and each one of those will have a subcluster that has the 2 points, which are in this case the same point, 0, 0, right? So 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Oh, maybe this should be an array. Yes, I'm sorry. This needs to be there. What we need to do is we need to initialize an array, and the initial value of the array will be this, and the dimension size will be 4. This will now create the problem that I started this episode with, that we did not face back then. So I just created a problem that I thought I had. And there it is. I'm going to leave that there for now, just for testing purposes. So let me show you if this worked, what just happened. So if I set point, oh yeah, see, first thing, they're all set to 0. I set the third point. If I set the second point, it's still not working. It's moving it. Why is it moving it? Let's see. If we come to the code, okay, so here's what's going on. What's going on is the point is being here. We have the point set to be inserted where this is, instead of replacing, instead of being inserted into the after event. It's being inserted into the previous event. We could do a replace if we want to use this, or we can use this and keep the insert. So basically it's very fluid. You can choose whatever you want. Now let's test this again. Select point 2 here, select point 4 here, and select point 3 there, point 1 there. There we go, perfect. Let's go back here and see if I could get rid of this. Would it still work? Set point 3 here. No, it's not working. The reason it's not working, I'm not sure why it's not working. It's very interesting. But nonetheless, I don't care. I'm going to set this, bring it here, get rid of this, and I'm fine using this piece of code right here for now. But now I'd like to show you, if we do this, it does the red thing here because these are set to zeros. So what we need to do is we need to set a safety feature to protect against that specific, I'm going to call it an error. I think that's exactly what it is. So here's what we need to do. We need to do a check every single time. Before doing this, we're going to have to set up a true or false case, and we need to check something. What we need to check is the points. So we're going to take the cluster, and then we're going to convert it into an array. I will take this cluster, convert it into an array. I will add up all the elements, so basically zeros. If they equal to 0, right? If they equal to 0, that means I have the wrong thing, which is not what I want. Does everybody agree with me? I hope everybody agrees with me. And that's, yeah, as I said, that's not what we want. So what basically ends up happening is this point does not process. And this is going to be the case for this. So there we go. This should protect the code. And I don't mean the pirate code when I say that. But the only thing we need to make sure of is the true or false. So if this is 0, that means this is true, and this, I don't want this to process, so I'm going to make this case false. There we go. So if this is false, that means that this is not 0. Perfect, that's exactly it. When this is not 0, I want this to process. Otherwise, I don't want it to process. Very straightforward. Very straightforward. Move this here. I'm gonna move the eye somewhere over there and adjust this system here. And there it is. Perfect. And we can move now the number up here. Alright, so we'll come back and edit how everything looks, but this should adjust this red circle issue. Oh, there's an error. Okay, so we need to connect the image in this case. Now let's run it. And if we say, let's set point 2 here, point 2, nothing else shows, point 4 here, point 3 here, auto set all, 1, 2, 3, cancel. Oh, okay, you don't have a fourth one. Well, there's the fourth one. We can set a setting where yes or no to check whether you put it or not, right? So at the end of this, every time these arrays could be checked, because now we know the array size is always 4. So what we could do, we could unbundle this. There we go. Oh, this is an array first. I'm sorry. So we can index this array, and at every point we can do this summation that I just discussed, right? At every point we can do this exact thing here. There it is. And then we can use this data right here, which is auto set by the indexer, right? So I don't need to further set anything for this. It's all automatically being done for us. And there we go. Now we have an array of true or falses coming out, and then we can index this array right here. And if we come here, we can go ahead to, let's see, modern, boolean, classic, boolean. Well, does not quite matter. We can just use a circle or square. What do you guys think? We can use a circle. There we go. And do a circle. Get this, and let's see, get rid of the label. Visible items, label. Then we can get this, copy, paste. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We can actually get this array, remove the label, and we can remove the index, and we can keep everything else. So there we go. We have all 4 of them. This one's gonna be PT1. View as icon. And again, I'd like to remove the label, put it on the side. Okay. Point 1, point 2, point 3, and point 4. Point 2, point 3, point 4. Here are the 4 points, and here are the 4 inputs. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there we go. Point 1, that's point 3, that's point 2, point 3, point 4. This shows us the availability of the points. This is the auto point, we'll set that later. So there we go. So now, okay, we don't have a default case. So we need a default case for this. Oh, this is checking if it is 0. So if we replace this to check if it is not 0. There we go. We just flipped all of them this way. Run the system. They're all not there. We can do select points, and I just want to set point 1 and then cancel. I have point 1. I still need 3 and 4. Set point 4. Oh. There's an error with the array. Why do we have an error with the array? Let's see what's going on. In the default case, array goes through. Array is a combination of all 4 zeros and is self-updating. If we did this, whoa. Ah, okay. So here's what happened. As you can see, what happens here is the array is generated from the clicking. It's not generated from anywhere else. And due to that, when we cancel the system in here, when we cancel, oh, where's the cancel? Oh, the cancel's here. This will stop, and the array will not get to process all 4 times, right? And we will need to set up a way to check for that, right? So we're gonna have to come here and do, well, in the case that this stops, we can do the check, or should we do it here? We can do it right over here in the true case, right? So in the true case, so I'm gonna get rid of the well, the problem is if we, well, yeah, we can do it in here. So I want to set this going through here, not through the outside anymore. There we go. Let it go through it. Perfect. And then I would like to set up this to occur at the end. There we go. Now, in the event that this is true, what ends up happening is we're going to need to figure out where we are, right? So we're going to be at I0, 1, 2, or 3. So all we need to do is we take that number. If we are at 1, right, that means that we still need to do 3. So I'm going to create the number 3 and subtract from it. Let's see. Yeah. So we're going to take the number 3 in this case. And what we do is we subtract from the number 3. We subtract from the number 3. I know I said that. So what we subtract from number 3 is how many are left. This will we'll subtract the I, which will tell us how many numbers are still left. I'm having real trouble figuring out where to put this. Okay, so why are we doing this? The reason is we'll know now that we need to enter 1 or 2 more numbers. So we can do an end loop, and we'll figure out where to put the end loop in a while. And this will tell us we're going to have to take this array and use a shift register and use that to come out here. And we will need to insert into this array. What are we inserting into the array? And where? Where is going to be the end, so we don't specify it, because it is the end by default. So we're not going to specify it. But what we will need to put in is all the way back here, is this cluster with the 0. This 0 cluster will need to be put into this. This 0 cluster will need to be put in here. Now, why is this way? Because this is not an array. That is why. Alright, so let's see what we can do. Alright, so we need this to be out here, not in here. So I thought doing it in here would be perfect, but that's not going to work. We need this to occur out here. That's going to create some partial difficulty, but it's very easy to fix. So we're going to move this out here. I'm going to move everything to the outside, because now we know we're getting this array here. And now what we need to do is we need to exit this true or false data to the outside to know whether or not we need to do this or not. So we're going to have to add a whole new layer to our onion, all the way over here, moving everything that we don't need. I'm going to move them anywhere right now. And we need to figure out whether we need to process this data or not. And this data will need to cross through the other data. The only number we're going to have to input here is how many times. That's the only input that is required of us at this point. So I'm going to move this here, move the n a little lower, move this a little higher, get our I to sit down here in the corner, just a little more. There we go. Now, the only piece of data missing from this setup is the piece that determines whether we do this or not, and if we do it, how many times. So there we go, let's do that. So a true or false case. So basically what we are getting now is the last data. Now there's two ways of doing this. I can either index it out of the array, or I can get it directly fed out of here and brought to me, right? I could do it this way. Oh, this does not need to be in the there we go. So now what's outputting here is the last data. The last piece of data is outputting right there. Now, what we need to do is check on our false case, check on our true case, false case, true case. Okay. What we need to check for now, once we have done this, and we can get this out of here. There we go. What we need to check for, so we know this is true. In the false case, this happens. That's it. In the true case, and basically the last point is going to be the true, which stopped it. So basically, if this stops, this runs. That's basically what the rule says. Now, what we need to figure out is how many times do we want it to run. So we get an array size of our array, right? And we take this size and we do 4 minus that. So what does that tell us? So if the size is 4, 4 minus that is 0, right? And then we tell it, okay, don't do it. There we go. That's the how many times I want you to do it. And it's like none, because there's no reason to. But if there is a reason to, then it will automatically detect that and it will do it. That is it. See, the code is usually much simpler, and there's probably even ways to make this even more simple that I don't know about. So always keep that in mind. I don't know everything. There's always going to be things that I do not know. So there we go. This here should, in theory, I always say in theory because it's very important to know that this is all theoretical. Now the only thing we need to do here is, because I sent this piece of data through through this place, I will need to do that. Get rid of this, get rid of that, get rid of that, move this up here, because now I can do this and that. I don't think I need to tell you guys, what I'm doing right now is completely a waste of time. So you guys should have that memorized by now, that this is not something essential in any way. But I have somehow trained myself to always do it, and therefore I'm stuck doing it all the time. I don't know why, but that's how it is, and I'm fine with it. There we go. We can actually probably do some more simplification here. I'm not sure why we didn't do this earlier. There we go. So this will process false in the event that there's no reason to process it. This here, as we have previously mentioned, is processing on the say of this. So that has how it knows how many times to process. This in the true case does nothing. In the false case performs our SubVI. And here is our final thing, which we have not used, is in the event of a cancellation. So this is in the event of a cancellation. What do we want to do? We have not decided this yet, so we'll worry about it later on. So there we go. This has been majorly simplified. This whole thing here, which looks kind of as big as this, but remember this here contains this code. But this here will determine the array. So let's go ahead and test this again. Run the system. Everything resets. Reset point 1, set it here, okay. There we go. Point 3 here, okay, there it is. Point 4 here, okay, there it is. Point 3 again, I would like it there now. There it is. Point 2, I'd like it there now. There it is. This is really nice. Really simple and really nice. I'm going to stop this. Escape here. What we are going to do now, let's see. What's the next thing we need to do? I'm actually not sure. This here does a check and then outputs it to these, which are our status, if you will. This is a fancy stop button that I'd like to recreate. Here we go. Here's a fancy stop button again. Oh, save. Whoa, what did I just do? Okay, can we open this again? There we go. Set a file again. Here. And let's test it from scratch. Run the program. Okay, let's select points. I'll select this point, and then this point right there, and then this point right there, and then this point right there. Perfect. Okay, I don't like point number 4. Let's reselect point 4 here. There it is. Let's reselect point 3 and set it more to the center. There it is. Perfect. And then there should be a button next frame, right? And that would be the next thing to do. We'll come back. We'll check on that. Let's see what we have done, what we have forgotten, what we should do. This here is copy-pasted twice. I'm going to take this and create SubVI out of it. And let's open this file. Well, first of all, let's look at the code. Here's the code. View this as an icon. View this as an icon. There. File, save as. We are going to save it on the desktop. We're saving things under labx underscore. So there's the main one, there's the point, and there's the, I don't know what to call this, safety. Right? That's exactly what it is. It's a safety. It's a redundancy check, perhaps. Redundancy, I don't want to call that. Check. There, let's do it as a check. There it is. Let's go ahead and come here, edit the image, and just delete everything again. Okay, file, save, close. No, let's change one more thing. Let's change the input as an array, T and F. So it takes in a true or false array, and it outputs 0. What's going on here? There. 0 if redundant. Whoa. 0 if repeat. There. So I'm going to save it as substitute copy for original, create unopened disk, rename. Okay. And I'm just going to call it labx repeat check. Rep check. Okay. Click on this, check the help file. It says that. There we go. Perfect. So now we have this right there. We can just copy, paste it there, put that in there, get rid of all this, and get this over here. Get rid of that. There we go. I think this is the proper way of handling data like this. I'm going to call this auto. Lock the label and move the label there. There we go. Perfect. Beautiful. Beautiful. What do you guys think? Alright, so I think this is a good point to end the video. Let's see what's going on here. We still need to go ahead and just minimize. See, most of this is just wires right now. Everything is minimized, so we can probably condense this a lot more. It's mostly wires moving around. We'll probably do that in a bit. Let us go ahead and come here. Let's do a final check on this. So we start, it loads. This is the first frame. We do select points, point 1, point 2, point 3. If you click enter and point 4 is not selected, then that's what happens. So select point 4 over here, yes. What we should have is a reset button, right? So let's do that next time. Let's create a reset button and a continue button, next frame button, and we'll do those in the next video. So I will see you guys in the next video and we will see what happens next.